Good morning, afternoon, and evening, CSS Nation. I'm happy to be with you once again doing an interview of a potential board of director member that you should take a look at. But before I get started, remember to like and share this video. Be sure to subscribe to the station if you haven't done so already, and please leave comments. So, before I had interviewed Anthony Bondon for president-elect, I have the opportunity now to interview one of the candidates for board of directors for HSPA. His name is Ken Hare. He has been in the industry for quite some time. And without me talking more about him, let's go ahead and introduce him. So welcome to the show, Ken. How you doing?
Hey, Harry, how you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. Really looking forward to talk to you. My God, it's been ages. What was it? Last week we went.
Yeah, it was probably last week. Yes.
By the way, folks, one of my sponsors, Texas Roadhouse. Great place to eat. Great ribeyes. Unfortunately, I, like you, have to pay for my meals. You know, they don't pay me to be a sponsor. You know, I just have to throw them out there.
All right. Well, I just go off the coupons.
Exactly.
Well, Harry, thanks for having me on the show, man. I really look forward to our, a little conversation between old friends.
Yeah, same here. So, Ken, you had the opportunity, from what I understand, you were nominated for board of directors for HSPA. But before we get into that, let the audience know a little bit more about your background and exactly who it is you are.
Oh, so a little bit about me. I've been in the healthcare field for now over about 24 years. I started off my career in healthcare as a hospital corpsman in the United States Navy. So much like you, Harry, I was a corpsman, and I was stationed with the Marines most of my enlistment. So I was a field corpsman, and at some point I decided, I had too much of this grunting around the world. So I wanted to kind of settle down in the Navy, and so I chose OR technician as a settling point in my career. During that time, I loved the OR. I mean, I loved being next to doctors and in the surgeries and things, and even aspired to be a surgeon myself at some point, until I decided or realized they don't have very good lifestyle outside of work.
No life balance whatsoever.
Yeah, so the work-life balance is not where I want to be. So, but I took that training as a OR technician, and I moved on into the OR and did really well, to be honest. But it was one thing that came to me, Harry, is that in the OR, I felt there was a glass ceiling. I always felt like I was the low man on the totem pole.
Right.
And one thing that stuck out to me, it was always when I would take my carts downstairs, or most places it was downstairs, I loved the vibe. I loved the vibe of the folks in SPD. And so it was a huge disconnect between the OR and SPD. And of course, I was one of those folks that I'm very personable. I mean, I'm a complete introvert, if you know me in real life. But so being in front of the camera right now really is not what I do, Terry. I'll be honest with you.
Well, that's my job, is to twist your arm, as you well know.
Exactly. But, seeing what the folks did downstairs, and then they took their job with pride. And that's what I liked. It wasn't all the bickering and stuff and the going back and forth like you would see up in the OR. So they pulled together, even when it seemed like, man, some of the tasks they were doing was just, I was like, I don't know how you guys do it. But I took that and I would volunteer to work downstairs with those guys after my shift, or instead of going home early, like they would always, when your room is done, you can go home. I would go downstairs and start putting together sets, because in the Navy, we did it all anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did SPD, all that. And SPD in the Navy was actually a week's break for us. I mean, it was like we go downstairs, crank up the music, and fire away at the sterilizers. So it was great.
Right.
But one thing I didn't know was all the science that went in behind what these folks in SPD were doing. So I wanted to get more and more involved in that. And so I did. Eventually, I wanted to put myself back through school. So I went to Cal State San Marcos here and studied biotechnology, of all things, with the aspiration of going to pharmacy school. I did get accepted to the USC School of Pharmacy at one point, and decided this wasn't quite the job for me. I didn't want to be in a pharmacy, with white coats and counting pills and things like that. I was like, no, that's not for me. Only reason I say that was because of the good time I had in SPD. As a job at that point, I thought SPD was exciting, and it had a lot of upside to it. It didn't have the glass ceiling that the OR side of things had if you wasn't a nurse or a PA or a doctor. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go into SPD full time. And I took on a tech role. And I was in that role for the better part about 8 years. And during that time, I obtained my certification through ISHM in 2006. And then in 2008, I became a lead technician. And then, of course, in 2010, I then became a manager. So it took about 10 years for me to really kind of, get my career where I thought it could be. And then since then, I've of course, acquired the regional director positions, and so I've seen it all, to say the least. I've seen it all. Currently, I'm at UCSD, as you can see here. I'm at UCSD, and I serve as the assistant manager at UCSD. I like the assistant manager role. It's more operational, so I get to be out on the floor with the technicians and really teaching them what I know. And to be honest with you, Harry, I learn something every day myself to this day.
Well, I can see the benefits because, I myself, like you, have done the same kind of the same path. Supervisor, manager, even was a director for a short period of time. But it's like the higher you get, when you manager, director, you go into a lot of meetings. You're going to, you're spread out almost too thin. So actually, the fact that you went back to an assistant manager to be able to get down and dirty with the staff, to be able, to have a more of effect, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, at first I was thinking, because I had opportunities to keep going along that line of director and all that, and honestly, it just wasn't me. Again, it all comes down to how things work as far as life balance. And right now, I think this position really works for me.
Right. Well, let me go on to the next question here. Now, I know that you're currently, other than your role, you're currently the president of CCSA, the California Central Service Association. But and I know that you weren't necessarily thinking about running for the board. You were nominated, and from what I understand through connections, not just once. You had several people that had submitted your name. So you've made an impact on people to say, hey, I want this guy involved with HSPA. But so instead of asking you, what have you been doing with HSPA? Let me ask you, what have you been doing in the local chapter that has helped you to prepare for working directly with HSPA?
Well, I think, as you know, Harry, like you said, I'm current president of CCSA, which is a very large chapter. It covers pretty much all of California and beyond. We have started to really get out and expand our membership into like Alaska and Hawaii and
Right.
big foothold in Arizona and Nevada. Our last seminar, we had people on from Texas. So it's been a really big thing for CCSA to really get the name out there and to be a component of HSPA. It just
Yeah.
it really it pushes me to want to be better at what I do, at what the board does. And I'm surrounded, honestly, by so many talented people on that board. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm excited because one, here's what we're doing, Harry. During the COVID, we decided, we couldn't be in person anymore, so we had to transition. We had to transition to it all online. And when we did that, as a board, we decided, you know what? Since our members can't be there, they're already paying a $25 membership fee. So why not have our members to attend these seminars for free? And then that was great. That was, I mean, honestly, all they want to do is continue their certification and get their units. And our mission is to bring world-class education to everyone out there that is certified. So, and that right there it just really, sparked me as a leader, and we continue that to this day, and hopefully we'll continue that in the future.
Absolutely. It's funny because you and I, we both have very similar backgrounds, uh,
Hmm.
except I went into the military a little bit sooner than you because I'm older.
Oh yeah, you're a little.
Both Navy corpsmen. We get out, we get into sterile processing. Slight difference. You were sterile processing for like 8 years before transitioning to management. I was in it for 20 years before I finally transitioned. I'm a late
What
bloomer.
took you so long, Harry? What took you so long? No, just kidding.
Motivation, I think. For 20 years, I was in a rut until I was surrounded myself with passionate sterile processing techs who were certified. And even with all my years of experience, guess what? I was learning something from them. Uh, because of their passion, it ignited me. So I finally got my certification. I had tried getting into management for years, but
Yeah,
it wasn't until I got that first certification, then all of a sudden, boom, within 6 months, I worked for Kaiser at that time for 20 years. I finally got considered for a supervisor position. Bam,
yeah,
2 years
yeah.
later, I was a manager. And
Well, I tell everyone, when you're in SPD and you find yourself feeling like there's no movement, I tell everyone just continue what you're doing and continue to bring that passion. Believe me, it will happen for you. It may not happen at your current job, but it will happen for you, and you will promote to whatever you aspire for.
well, in that education, whether it's the certifications, going to seminars, doing online education, you have to educate yourself. You have to be the content expert when it comes to sterile processing in order to advance that way.
Yeah,
And I
I
mean,
agree.
I was very fortunate. I think we actually met each other at one of the CCSA seminars,
Yeah,
and and I by that time I was already on the board of directors for CCSA, and and then we had that interaction for a couple of years, knowing each other through conferences. And then we both got to work down in San Diego together on the same team
hmm,
within the hospital system. Was wonderful. I made it to president elect, twisted you to be on the board,
I have to admit, Harry, if it wasn't for you, and I give you the kudos and the props, man, you're that guy that connects a lot of people. And if it wasn't for you, I probably would have never considered being on the board of a CCSA. I like going to the conferences,
Yeah.
but it was because of you. Thank you very much. I decided to be a director and onward, and now I'm a president. So thank you.
Yeah. And, and guess what, folks? You too could be president of your local chapter. You could be president. Look at this guy. We're looking at a future president elect for HSPA now. First, you got to get on the board for there and move on up, and then sky's the limit.
That's
So,
right.
so because, you weren't necessarily focusing on wanting to become, because you were nominated for the board for HSPA, but you made the decision to say, you know what, I was nominated. Why not? So, what is it about being nominated and HSPA that you finally said, yeah, let's go ahead and step it up and get involved?
Well, a little secret. I was actually nominated last year or the last time as well. I don't think it was last year or 2 years ago. But at the time, my life, I thought about it, and the work-life balance wasn't there for me. It just wasn't right timing. This time, when it came back through, the opportunity presented itself again. And I've always been one of those that said, don't miss too many opportunities. Don't let those doors close. And so I hopped at it, and I honestly, this is the right decision for me, and I'm excited of being a possible member of the board with a lot of really smart people around me that I get to share ideals with, and really get to learn from those guys. To be honest, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to learn along the way, and also maybe give some of what I know as well. So.
Very good. All right. So at this point, folks, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this short commercial. Welcome back, folks. Harry Mullen here at CSS Nation. And again, we are interviewing Ken Hare for Board of Directors. But before I go on to that, again, I just wanted to remind you, like and share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Please leave messages. And I want to thank Terragene for that video that they had sent to me. They are working on great things. Believe it or not, Terragene, which is from Argentina, is the primary manufacturer of our biological testing. They actually manufacture them, and then they repackage them for STERIS, 3M, you name it. All right, with that, let's go ahead and bring Ken back. Welcome back.
Thank you, Harry.
All right, so the next question is kind of expands a little bit on the last one, as far as, you're running for the board of directors as a board member for HSPA. Is there anything particular about it that you said, yes, I do want this role?
Well, I think just the opportunity, like I said, to share my knowledge. Also, the opportunity to network more and be known nationally out there, and to be able to interact with those giants in the industry, and as well as those that are up and coming in the industry. That's what I like about the opportunity of being on the HSPA board. Also, Harry, I would like the opportunity to further uh, my thing of trying to get everyone certified. I mean, it's not just me. I know there's many out there that have that same aspiration. And of course, that's what we strive for, is mandatory certification as well. But if we can get those folks out there to become certified, and also have that free training delivered to them, uh, I think that's the way to go. Um, and on a state level, I would like to focus the board's attention to uh, keep pushing for that, state legislations to uh, have certification for the SPDs. Um, and I want that to be more of a state recognition versus just on, here and there. You see a hospital out there with a department full of people that have no they have nothing to strive for because the hospital don't support it.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen it. The bigger hospitals, of course, yes, you'll see a lot of certified technicians, but then you go into some of these little small community hospitals, and you'll see one or two technicians that's certified out there. I think those hospitals, along with the rest, should have to support the certification of their technicians.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one thing, folks, to know. I mean, a lot of you that watch my podcast are already certified, but you all know that there are many, many. I think a majority of the individuals currently working in sterile processing are not certified, and
Hmm.
for one avenue or another, they were able to be fortunate enough to get into the field. They may have gone to school and got a job afterwards, but they don't have their certification. And if you're really wanting to advance in your career, from personal experience, you have to have that certification. It shows that you take education personally and that you're taking it serious. So I think that's what it really shows. And it's really going to open up those doors for you. Now, real quick, for those of you that I already showed it at the bottom of the screen before, that are not certified and you want a training program, now it's not required. You can go to any school. We have our school, centralsterilizationschool.com. You can reach out to us, and we have a very affordable program. There's other schools available, but you can also go if you're already in the field and you have experience. All you have to do is contact HSPA, get the textbook and workbook, and study on your own and prepare. Get that certification.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed at the doors that are opened up once you have that certification.
I think you guys do a really amazing job there at your school there, Harry. I've had some of your technicians come through here, so I know personally, on a personal level,
Yeah.
that these guys are well trained. I mean, they're ready to go.
Well, I really appreciate it. I mean, one of the things I got into teaching back in 2011, the CRCST course, frankly, because I got tired of the students coming to us from places like Premier Career College, American Career College. And then a lot of people say, you really shouldn't name those schools. But I'm sorry, but, if the truth hurts, it always seemed that their students had a chip on their shoulder, a sense of entitlement. And so myself and a couple other managers, we started the school in order to make sure that we were putting forth students that, number one, be grateful for
Yeah,
what it is
right.
these hospitals are offering you to come in and do your hands-on training. and we're trying to change the industry and the culture one student at a time, one technician at a time, and stuff.
That's right. Well, you're doing a good job at it. Keep at it.
I really do appreciate it. And by the way, folks, this is not supposed to be a commercial for the school. So this is focusing on HSPA's upcoming election. Voting is open right now, as a matter of fact. So if you haven't voted after this video, make sure you go to your emails, click on the link. It's not coming specifically from HSPA. So if you don't think you've received it, contact their office and have them resend you the link. So that way you can vote. I've already sent out my video and posted it on who I was voting for. So, but be sure to read the bios for everyone and make your own decision and stuff. So let me ask you this. So you talked about some of the things you've done locally with the local chapters, as far as education and such. What plans do you have, or what ideas can you bring forth when you're on the board that can have an impact on our industry?
As I mentioned before, Harry, I'm a big proponent of having everyone certified, and I think working with those leaders on the board, we can continue that and that mission and bring that training to folks as well. So I would help facilitate the certification legislation. I would work with creating opportunities for techs to maintain their certification, just as we do on the CCSA level. Even taking some of that and saying, hey, why don't we offer free education in terms of a seminar, right? So I know HSPA really does a great job on their annual seminar, or I guess you say conference. But
Right.
One of the things that always stuck out to me is that is one big ticket. It's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, if early bird, you're talking about $395, but if you're not in the early bird, somewhere between $450, maybe $500 to be able to just attend the conference, and then on top of that, travel and lodging.
Right. So you're thinking, you're the folks that need to be there. They're your tech ones, your tech twos, your leads. Those are the folks that really need to be there, and they want to be there. But a lot of times they can't afford it. And so if we could push for a way to offer that conference, that once a year, they pay for the lodging, they pay for the flight out there, but to give that conference for free to all of our members.
Right.
And so that comes along with, maybe, applying for grants or whatever it is that we can do to one of the things I just wanted to give this, one of the things I did at CCSA, Harry, is we now have a member on our board that has a little bit of experience in grant writing. And so I want to highlight that, and maybe that's something we can look at on the HSPA level as well.
Right.
Getting some grants and getting people to these conferences for less of a cost.
Oh, that is a phenomenal idea. Whether it's grants through companies like 3M, Steris, and I know oftentimes they do. Will choose maybe 2 or 3 people, they'll offer it, and then there's kind of like a lottery system where they pick somebody who can attend. But can you imagine on the grand level, because usually the conference has anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 individuals, but imagine having one huge grant, because I know HSPA is not going to want to do it for free, and because that's a lot of money that comes in to help support the structure, and they need that still, but they get the money through a grant instead of from the membership. That is just awesome. I
Well,
like.
even Harry, even if they could just reduce the price, you know what I mean? You get a large grant, it's just enough so you can reduce that to make it palatable for those technicians that really want to be there. And then people will have something to work toward every year. They can say, "Hey, I want to save up. I want to go. I want to be a part of that networking group out there. I want to be," and that's where HSPA is going to get their next leaders. I mean, honestly, I put myself out there because I told you I'm a complete introvert, but I put myself in front of a camera because I feel so passionate about all this.
Well, I think a lot of us are introverts. You know, people who meet me, they don't believe it, but I can be very introverted. It's just when I know I'm going to be on stage, it's like, okay, click into a different personality. But I've like, my wife will take me to a party, and and I sit on the couch and I don't say anything all night because I don't know anybody there, and I'm practically a fly on the wall because it's like, well, I don't know them. I'm not going to introduce myself, but tell you, being involved in sterile processing, uh, being involved on the board of CCSA, and has really helped me to be more of an extrovert. But naturally, I'm not. I'm not an extrovert. I mean,
Yeah, because what I recall of you, Harry, is being in Las Vegas and you were leading the line dancing. So I don't understand where.
Well, that's after also I had a couple shots. So let's.
Uh,
You Well, Ken, it's about time to go ahead and close out the show. But before I let you go, I wanted to ask you one last question. Is there anything else you would like to share about yourself, your mission with our audience before I say goodbye?
I think the one last thing I would like to share is just what I just said. You don't have to be one of the leaders in this industry or a leader of a department to be on the board of HSPA or be involved with HSPA or CCSA or any other state local chapter. You really have to have a passion for what you do. And I encourage all the technicians out there, continue to show that passion, be involved, get involved, and stay involved. And believe me, it will pay off in the long run. Everyone out there is looking for those folks that are, hiding in the shadows, but have a lot of good ideas. And I know I'm looking just for that.
Yeah, I've online through Facebook groups, I've seen comments where like last year when Marjorie Wall was running for president-elect, and
I
uh,
love her.
she was the youngest so far, the youngest elected, uh, not only the youngest elected person to that office for president-elect to take over this year as president. She was the youngest female as well, so younger than the youngest female, and she also beat as a person. Let's just say person, because no males out there have ever been as young as her and taking over on this responsibility. And so, guess what, folks? Ken is a lot younger than I am, but considered a senior within the sterile processing community.
Yeah,
We're always looking for replacements, people who to be able to step up and take over the reins for when we move on to greater pastures, so to speak. So
that's right.
get involved, even in subcommittees and stuff like that. Get involved, and that's so important.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Ken, I wanted to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today. And it looks like it's beautiful weather there in San Diego.
Yeah, this is beautiful San Diego. I was afraid the Navy was going to be flying planes over the whole time, but it seemed
I
like
didn't know at
they've
all.
taken a lunch break.
Okay, well, again, Ken, thank you for coming on to the show. And I'm going to go ahead and let you get back to work.
All right, thank you, Harry.
You're welcome. Well, folks, there you have it. That was Ken Hare running for board of directors for HSPA. I want you to take this opportunity right now to look at the bios, look at each and every one of the candidates. And if you've already seen my previous show, you already know who I voted for, but I'm not necessarily wanting to influence your vote as to who to vote for. I want you to vote. I want you to look at the bios and make a decision. Remember, you can't complain if you didn't vote. You don't have the right to complain if you don't vote. And with that, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. Remember, like and share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. And with that, I'll be back.